Chapters 2 and 3 concern the marriage of Tancreda to the new woman, the lovely daughter of the new mayor, Angelica Collegro. Thus we have the marriage of a new man, an aristocratic liberal without means, and a new woman, a daughter of money and new manners and a real beauty to boot. Perhaps this marriage will bring about the best of the old order, a willingness to serve, a noblesse oblige, and the best of the new order, meritocratic and industrious. But this is not how Chapter 2 begins. Revolution has been accomplished, but the Selina family, Don Fabrizio's family, keeps up its family tradition, and it relocates in the late summer to their estate in the interior of Sicily, Donna Fugata. The estate lies, as I say, on the interior, away from the liberalizing tendencies of the seacoast, away from Palermo. The Piedmontese didn't even bother to try to conquer the interior. There is every reason to expect that the people here will be relatively untouched by the revolution. Don Fabrizio wonders whether things will have changed, and he finds himself satisfied that things remain the same. His servants and his wards, it seems, are just as devoted as before, thankful for all his good offices and upright in their management of his estate. They come to meet him, the archpriest, the notary, the doctor, the cathedral organist. Especially the cathedral organist, Ciccio Tumeo, will show himself a partisan of the old order. They love Don Fabrizio, the prince. He has served them well. They have, quote, a certain affection for their tolerant lord, end quote, in fact. They go to church for the traditional mass upon their arrival. After the mass, Don Fabrizio has his wife, a woman of taste and discretion, invite the mayor, the archpriest, and the notary to dine with them, as per usual. It was always a formal affair, no children. Wives and husbands would gather and eat and be merry. At the end of the invitation issued, Don Fabrizio issued another invitation to everyone in the church, it seemed. Quote, after dinner at 9 o'clock, we shall be happy to see all our friends. Fabrizio invites them all. While the place may not have changed, Don Fabrizio had changed. He was more open, less guarded, and from that moment, Lampedusa writes, began the decline of his prestige. Chapter 2 covers the first days of the visit to Donna Fugata and the interior of Sicily. The chapter charts this imperceptible decline in prestige, what it once was and what it would soon be. We see two servants in particular during these chapters. The first we see is Don Orofrio Rotolo, the local steward, punctilious and proper, who tells of the rapid rise in fortunes enjoyed by the mayor, Don Collegro Sadara. Sadara is a calculating man, head of the liberals, scourge of the church, greedy and cunning, gobbling up the estates from the aristocrats who needed the money. The main action of Chapter 2 and 3 concerns Tancredi, who seems to transfer his affections from Fabrizio's daughter Consida to the mayor's daughter Angelica. After the arrival, a feast is planned, and the prince gets ready for dinner with a bath. While bathing, he is interrupted by Father Perrone, who asks if the prince would consent to the marriage of his daughter to Tancredi. Tancredi has shown indefinite affections for her, always more for her than for others, but never quite bearing his soul. Don Fabrizio is not certain that this is a good match. His daughter is a woman of reserve, shy, retiring, submissive. Tancredi is a man of quick adaptability, worldly penetration, artistic sensibility, which he will use to climb in the new order. Don Fabrizio hoped that Tancredi might be, quote, the standard bearer of a counterattack, which the nobility under new trappings could launch against the new social state, end quote. But he also wondered out loud whether Conchita, with her passive virtues, would be a great match for an ambitious and brilliant husband such as Tancredi. Then comes the dinner. It is quite a scene. Wonderfully conceived and executed by our author Lampedusa, the old order is there and ready for dinner, but the new mayor is late. Don Fabrizio has not worn his formal dinner coat out of deference to those around him who, as simple country folks, do not own them. He dresses casually, so to speak. Not overly so, but no formals. The mayor arrives late, and he comes up in tails. He is an off-the-rack guy. His tails do not fit perfectly. He doesn't know how to wear any of his clothes. The style is modern, but the cut quite appalling. But he arrives, and with him, quote, a revolution in a white tie and two black tails, end quote, emerges for dinner. Then the second blow for the new order. The daughter, Angelica, a real looker, arrives, and everyone is transfixed by her beauty. No one can see her defects, which, Lampedusa hints, are many. But everyone can see the flash of her beauty. She is her father's daughter, just as cunning, just as superficially attractive. The material is great, but one wonders about its ability to wear. Tancredi sits between Angelica and Conchita, between the daughter of the new order and the daughter of the old order. Tancredi tells a story of serving Garibaldi, one which Angelica praises and leads Tancredi to make a dirty joke, one that is funny only if he is consumed by a desire to lay her down and love her. Angelica laughs. The proper Conchita is appalled. The decision seems to be made in Angelica's favor. Just to seal the deal, the chapter closes with Tancredi, denied access to the convent that the Fabrizio family had founded, slinks away and takes a dozen exotic peaches to Angelica and her family. Chapter 3 concerns love at Donna Fugata, and its main focus is on Tancredi's marriage proposal to Angelica, carried out through the intermediaries of their fathers, Don Fabrizio and Don Sadara, the old prince and the new mayor. The chapter is entitled The Troubles of Don Fabrizio. This marriage is not entirely what Don Fabrizio had hoped for his new nephew and his ward. The chapter begins with a letter from Tancredi to Don Fabrizio, one where he seeks the marriage and asks his uncle to arrange everything and gain the consent from Angelica and her father. The chapter ends with a scene where Don Fabrizio eats the toad and asks Mayor Sadara for the hand of Angelica in marriage. Thus Tancredi joins the bourgeois revolution in its decisive sense. A marriage for love, apparently, involving property, to social climbers in the name of social climbing. In the middle of the chapter, its heart really, is when Don Fabrizio is out hunting with the cathedral's organist. This conversation troubles Don Fabrizio too. The organist, Sico Tomeo, is the second service to witness to Don Fabrizio that they have real attachment to the old order and real suspicions about the new. The conversation starts with a bunch of insects interrupt a nap that Sico and Fabrizio are having while on a hunt. They aren't what they were, you see, so they need a nap. Talk turns to the plebiscite that was recently held, where every voter, it is claimed, voted for unification with the Greater Italy. At the central point of this conversation, Sico shouts out that he had voted no. He voted no out of loyalty to the men of the old order, who had given him so much: stability, generosity, friendship, churches, faith, good offices, genuine concern and care. Scipio tells story after story confirming this judgment. There was a snobbery in this deference, a joy and pride in serving those who are one's betters. This pride elevated Scipio, linking him with human greatness, with sovereigns and aristocrats. Then he tells the story of the money-grubbing, two-faced traitors to the old order, liars of the new order, who would not even respect his vote enough to count it. Fabrizio commends his insights and feels ashamed for his own acquiescence to the new order. He wants Scipio's insights into the Sadara family. Scipio gives evasive answers. No worse than a lot of others, clever as the devil, very rich, very influential, is how he characterizes the mayor. The conversation proves to Don Fabrizio that someone had died. Quote, God only knew in what corner of the country, in what corner of the popular conscience, end quote, when this plebiscite happened. What died was good faith, genuine friendship, non-calculating loyalty, pre-rational bonds. What died was the aristocrats and the virtues that went along with them. It was now a question of whether there might be a new shoots from the ruins of the old aristocracy. Was the end of something as Scipio thought? Was this the end of something as Scipio thought? Or was it the beginning of something as Don Fabrizio hoped when he consented to the marriage? Was this new beginning something worth having if it was a new beginning? Could it be that both Scipio and Don Fabrizio are correct? It is the death of something and the birth of something. If Angelica and Tancredi are the scions of the new order, is the new order fit for human habitation? Is it noble? Should Don Fabrizio be troubled, or is he just swallowing his pride? We will have to see this in the next video, which covers Chapter 4 and beyond.